All right, well, so you can go when you're ready.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Focus TV. Man, we got a lot planned for you guys tonight. We got Vincent Williams here with us, Octavia Wyatt, Cardell Dudley, Raymond Lyons. So, just first of all, I just want to welcome you back to the show, Vince. All right, well, let's do that again so you guys can actually hear me. I want to welcome everybody to the Focus TV this week. We got Vincent Williams, we got Octavia Wyatt, Cardell Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr. Man, we got a lot planned for you guys. But before we get talking to Vince, and he got something nice for you guys. He cooked up. We're gonna talk about that. Got some questions for him. It's gonna be very informative. So looking forward to that. Octavia, we're gonna ignore the sweatshirt.
You can't ignore it.
So disgusting to see. But Raymond, Cardell, and I, we've already shared our thoughts on episodes 1 and 2 of The Last Dance. So if you follow us on social, go check out The Last Dance Symposium. We're going to be doing that each and every week after the new show's premiere. That said, Octavia and then Vincent, just what did you guys think about episodes 1 and 2?
I'll start. So I love stuff like this anyway. Like I'm a huge documentary type of person, especially with stuff that happened before I feel like I was old enough to grasp how great it was. And that was basically Mike's entire career. I feel like I was, he got drafted in '84. I wasn't even born yet. So I like to watch stuff like this to see how it really was for him. Like you can only get so much from your parents telling you, the basketball players telling you, even when you do your own research. So for me, it's just amazing just to see it as tangible as it was, to feel like I was living through that era when all of that stuff was happening. Because some of that stuff I had no idea about. And I just look forward to how they, how it continues on and how it plays out, especially with it being a 10-part documentary. So we still got 8 more episodes to go. So I'm super hyped to watch the rest of them. I thought the first 2 nights were very informative for me. Like I said, I feel like I just didn't know certain backgrounds of stuff because I just don't feel like I was looking for that. I just always knew how great of a player Mike was, watching his games, stuff like that on YouTube. But to actually know everything behind it, I think is real cool.
All right, Vince?
I think it only enhanced his greatness. Like Octavia was saying, I'm just used to remember just watching the games on NBC. The games would come on, against the Knicks, against the Pacers, and you just remember those games, the Sonics, the Utah Jazz in the finals. But to see all of the behind-the-scenes things that he had to do with, from Jerry Krause to, Scottie Pippen, his contract negotiations, I think it only raises my respect for him and the things that he did on the court. It's amazing to see.
All right. Well, we're going to be talking with Vincent Williams, the head strength and conditioning coach in Capital City Go-Go, in just a little bit. We'll take our first break, and when we get back, he's going to try to help you guys at home. I know everybody's stuck in the house. It's tough. So it's both for you athletes and non-athletes. Man, it's hard to, they're telling you to go outside and, get active, but if you go outside and you see everybody else, you can't possibly be social distancing if everybody else is outside. So it's just one of those things.
Have you tried to run with the mask on? Not a good idea.
Man, just some of the directions. So, these are some things you can do in-house safely. Because common sense. I got you, Cardell. Common sense isn't too common. I got you. Common sense isn't too common. And we're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Focus TV. welcome back to the Focus TV. As we just told you guys, we're going to introduce Vincent once again. It's been a while since you've been back, but again, this is Vincent Williams, head strength and conditioning coach for the Capital City Go-Go. All right, man. As I said, we talked a little bit before the show. The floor is yours, sir. Go ahead and let everybody know about these quarantine workouts to try to help them get through this, man.
Let me get my pen and paper.
Right.
Yeah, no, this is a first appreciate the invite. I'm glad to be back on with you guys. This is a different time. You don't have access to all of the things that you used to having. For hoopers especially, though, I want you guys to definitely take advantage of this time, and I think some of the things that I'll lay out tonight would definitely help you guys. Just a couple key points, and then even for those looking for something just to stay active at home, staying indoors. If you are going to go outside, please find an open field more than 6 feet away from someone else. But just starting off, so just a couple of guidelines. First thing you always want to focus on doing as part of your workout, no matter whether it's indoors, outdoors, at your training facility, wherever it may be. You always want to start with mobilizing your foot and ankle, mobilizing your hips, and mobilizing your upper back. Why? Those are the three most important parts of your body. Foot and ankle, for obvious reasons, as a basketball player, that's what comes in contact with the ground first. So having that joint mobile is going to lead to decreasing the lack of mobility up the chain. Secondly, your hips. That's where a lot of basketball players can get a lot of mobility. A lot of times, knee problems, low back problems, it stems from having tight hips. So you always want to start with mobilizing your foot and ankle first, then work your way up the chain, get to your hip. Remember, you have 4 parts of your hip. You have the front part of your hip, so that hip flexor. You have your lateral hip, what would you like to call it? So where your IT band runs down the outside of your hip. Then you have your back hip, your hamstring, your glutes. Make sure you're mobilizing those areas. And then, most importantly, for lateral movement, we call it the medial hip or the inner hip. So your groin area, your adductor, that region, making sure you're mobilizing that area as well. Then lastly, keep coming up the chain. Make sure we mobilize our upper back. Reason being, again, basketball players dribbling, shooting, overhead movements, holding defenders off. All of these things stem from your upper back. Before you want to have stability at a joint, you want to have mobility first. That's why we want to start with mobilizing the joint. If you try to get stability before mobility, sometimes you might not have the mobility to create the proper amount of stability. So that's where you want to start with, always mobilizing the upper back. Secondly, train deceleration. So some of the workouts I'll lay out, I'll talk about opportunities where you can train deceleration. But in order to improve your explosiveness, you don't need, a Vertimax and all of those other apparatuses. If you just learn how to control your body, how to decelerate properly, a lot of times you'll get more improvements than throwing yourself on a Vertimax or picking up dumbbells and doing who knows what exercises. So having your body weight and just training the action of deceleration a lot of times will also help improve your explosiveness. Thirdly, real core strength is not relative core strength. What do I mean by that? Real core strength, how many sit-ups can you do in a minute? How many crunches can you do in a minute? How long can you hold the plank? No one cares how long you can hold the plank. Last time I checked, in the game of basketball, real core strength comes from holding off your defender, getting to the spot you want to get to. That's relative core strength. So those are the things that you want to focus on as part of your workouts. Fourthly, using intervals to replicate on-court conditioning. So again, transition 3 to 4 seconds. Shot clock is 24 seconds. I saw one study that talked about the game is played in 7-second intervals. So using those increments to program whatever you want to do as far as conditioner wise. And when you say 4 seconds or when you say 7 seconds, the most important part of that is that you're giving max intent for those 4 seconds or those 7 seconds. Again, the short intervals They're not 20 seconds after you, do something for 20 seconds to 30 seconds. It's very important that whatever you're doing, if it's squat jumps, if it's lunges, whatever it is, make sure you're giving max intent for those shorter intervals of time. And then lastly, just last guideline, pausing at the end of a rep is what we like to call an isometric. And then a slow lower into a rep is what we like to call an eccentric. So if I'm going into a push-up, I start push-up position, elbows are locked out, hands on the ground. As I lower into that push-up, that's what we call an eccentric push. If I were to pause at the bottom of that push-up, elbows flexed, chest close to the ground, we call that the isometric. So don't forget those two actions as a part of your training regimen, right? So that eccentric, instead of going down as fast as you can, time it up 5-6 seconds. Try to really challenge yourself to lower down into that push-up. Holding the push-up at the bottom, not chest flat on the ground, but actively holding yourself at the bottom of the push-up before you finish off with the concentric. So holding that eccentric 5-6 seconds. That's another way you can challenge yourself without having dumbbells and bands and med balls and all of those other things, just using your own body weight. So those are two great ways. One is going to raise the training demand, but more importantly, you're going to improve your body control. Being able to control your body for longer sets of time, that's ultimately what's going to make you stronger. Same thing with a squat. If I start tall, slowly lowering into that squat, holding at the bottom, really being active at the bottom, not just resting, just chilling at the bottom of that squat, being active at the bottom of that squat, and then come up into your concentric phase. Next is just a copy of what this is. Some snippets of the workout I gave to our Capital City guys before originally. Actually, the day after we found out our season was suspended again. Start with a wall ankle mobility drill. So all you're doing here, your two hands on the wall, and all you're doing is you're balancing on your left leg, for instance, and then your right foot is reaching forward towards the wall and then reaching back. That's a great way to mobilize that ankle that's on the ground. Secondly, with that same foot, so my left foot still on the side, still on the ground, my right foot, I'm reaching out to the side as far as I can go, to one side, and then reaching across to the other side. So we can call it same side, so your right foot reaching to the right, and your right foot reaching to the left. Another way to mobilize your ankle. Last one, we call it a twist. So now I'm trying to make a T. So my left foot's on the ground, I'm bringing my right foot over top, so that the inside of my foot and my foot's on the ground is making a T. Then I'm coming behind, and then I'm making a T in the back as well. So those three things, the reason we have you move your foot in those directions, we call it the 3 planes of motion, right? So that front to back, that's our sagittal plane. Our side to side, we call that our frontal plane. And then that twist, that T motion that you make, we call that the transverse plane. So everything you do as a basketball player, you have to have mobility. You have to have mobility first, and then you want to have mobility in all 3 planes so that you can get to where you want to get to on the court. You don't want your ankles restricted. You don't want your hips restricted. You don't want your upper back restricted. So you want to be able to have mobility in all 3 planes of motion. Next one, this mobilization of our hips, just swinging your legs side to side. We've all done leg sweeps before. Next one, you're going to bring your foot out wide so you're still facing the wall. If I'm mobilizing my left hip, so I'm taking a step back from my left hip, I'm bringing my right foot out wide, and I'm dropping my left knee down to the ground. Again, mobilizing that front hip. You can bring your right foot in a little bit closer, so you're in a regular split stance, one foot in front of the other. Still drop that left leg down to the ground. That's another way to mobilize your front hip. And then you're going to bring your right foot across your left foot now. And that's another way to mobilize our hips. Lastly, our upper back. Again, 3 planes of motion. Just using our hand, reaching forward, reaching back, reaching over to the left, reaching over to the right, and then twisting. So twist and twist. Again, all 6 actions and things that you have to do on the basketball court. Just start mobilizing before you get to whatever you're going to do for your workout. Just start mobilizing those 3 regions that will enhance your workout. Just a basic warm-up, I'll have our guys do. Single leg matrix, you're balancing on one foot, 2 hands, reaching down to the ground, then reaching up high. We'll do 10 on each foot. Then still balancing on that left foot, reaching hands over to the left, reaching hands over to the right. Still balancing on the left foot, rotating to the right, or rotating forward, and then rotating back. 10 of each of those. to work on our balance. We call it our squat matrix. So again, defensive stance, your feet are out wide, your feet wider than your knees, wider than your hips. We're squatting down 3 times there. Next one, you're going to stagger. So you have your right foot in front of your left. You'll squat 3 times there. Then you'll bring your left foot in front of your right, squat 3 times there. Last one, you'll go toes in, a different way to mobilize your hips. Another way to what we like to call mobilizing different tissues that you wouldn't normally mobilize with just a regular squat pattern. So turn the toes in, give me 3 squats there, and then I'll posterior lunge with reaches. A great way to integrate the lower body and the upper body. So I'm going to step back on my left foot this time. So now my right foot's on the ground, taking a big step back with my left foot. As I step back, I'm reaching my hands up to the ceiling, and then I can step back with that same foot, reach hands down to the ground. Again, integrated upper body and lower body. We talked about earlier, real core strength versus relative core strength. So as I balance on one foot and I'm moving my hands side to side, what's working, what's allowing that motion, that's when our core comes in. Not coming from the sit-ups that we do, not coming from holding plank for 2 minutes. Being able to train these motions so that our core is integrated to what we're doing. Then we can do the same thing. We can step back with our left foot, taking a big step back. We can reach hands left and right. And then we can do the same thing that we did with our upper back, mobilizing the upper back. We can twist hands forward, twist hands back. So that's one thing I'll have our guys do as part of our warm-up. Then we actually get to our training. Our lower body movement, we will go to a squat first. And then after you squat, coming up out of the squat, I can have you lunge forward. I can have you lunge to the side. And I can have you go into a drop step motion and lunge. So you squat first and then go into the lunge. So how do we incorporate those isometrics and eccentrics that we talked about, right? So with this one, as I squat down, I can hold my squat at the bottom for 2 or 3 seconds. I can go out into the lunge. I can hold the lunge for 2 or 3 seconds. And then as I drive out of the lunge, pop back into the squat. On the next one, as I squat and I lunge out to the side, I can now go slowly. So I can add that eccentric portion. I can go slowly into my squat. And then as I lunge, after my foot hits the ground, I can slowly lower down into that lateral lunge, drive up out of it. Another way, great way to work on explosive. I'm able to hold with great stability once my foot hits the ground. Then I can complete the rep. I can go further down to that rotational lunge, come up out of it with good control, and return to my squat. Push-up matrix, a great way to add training demand to it. We can go regular push-ups, so just hands where you would normally place them, you go 8 there. You can bring your hands out wide, create greater demand for your chest. You go 8 reps there, then we go with our stagger push-ups. So one hand in front of the other, we go 8 each there. And then for our core, again, integrating upper body and lower body. The core, a lot of times on a basketball court, is not about creating motion, it's about resistant motion. So one of the great exercises, we call it a body saw. You can put your feet on a towel. You can go on a hardwood floor, or a lot of times, I don't know anybody that has carpet in their kitchen. off the ground, coming right into another direction with no pause. We define it as a pivot, a leap. We define that as jumping off of one foot and landing on the other. So if I jump off my right foot, land on my left foot, we define it as a leap. Seventh one, a reach. All we're doing is taking a driver and just reaching into space. It can be a hand, it can be a foot, whichever it is, just reaching what we like to call in the three-dimensional space. So again, we talked about those planes of motion. I can reach my hand forward, I can reach my hand back, or we can reach out to the side, I can reach over. Just taking a hand, what we like to call a driver in this instance, and reaching in the three-dimensional space. And then lastly, a swing. Real simple, just using arms, swinging with momentum in the three-dimensional space. So I can swing my hands in the sagittal plane, I can swing them in the frontal plane, I can swing them in the transverse plane, just using a driver with momentum. That's all we're looking for is swing. So you have those 8 motions, right? Again, we talked about the planes of motion. So each one of those fundamental movements you can do in all 3 planes of motion. So take, for instance, the jump, right? We want to jump, we want to tweak the jump to move in 3 planes of motion. So I can jump anterior and posterior, I can jump side to side, I can jump with a twist both ways. I can jump to the same side, I can jump to the opposite side, right? So as you start to build now you can start to build on your own workout. I can take one of these movements, I can tweak them in all 3 planes. It doesn't always have to be straight up and down all the time. Again, game of basketball is played in 3 dimensions, so why not train that way? And then lastly, we get to our movement enhancements. Great 10 things that you can do. She has a pair of dumbbells in her hand, but you don't even need dumbbells, right? So if I want to take that jump and I want to tweak the direction, again, if I want to go forward to back, side to side, rotation, I can take a jump and I can tweak the distance of the jump, right? I can jump really far out and return back. I can jump really short and return back. I can jump in between, so intermediate, so not all the way out, but not too close. So those are 3 ways you can tweak a jump. You can add load, if you have a med ball or if you have a basketball, these are things you can add to it. Another tweak you can add to your jump is the rate at which you do it. Do you try to get as many as you can in 10 seconds? Do you try to get as many as you can in 5 seconds? The rate is what you do. So with speed, and then you have duration. How long are you doing? So the rate, am I trying to get a lot of jumps all at once? Am I going rapidly? Am I going slower? Am I going with this eccentric, squat down into my jump, and then come out about a bit fast? So these are all things that you can add to your own workout regimen. Again, wasn't trying to give you guys a specific workout. I just want to give you some guidelines, some things that that you have access to, and things, different ways that you can tweak based off of what you have in your house to create your own workout. And then we have videos of a Lunge Matrix. And this is from Chris Braden down at Train for the Game in Austin, Texas. Great facility. We have a push-up matrix that I was talking about earlier. We have our Lunge Matrix. We have our front squat to press. Again, on the front squat to press, he has a pair of dumbbells in his hand. You can use a basketball. You can use whatever you have in your house is loaded. But again, great fundamental movement that you'll need on a basketball court. And then we have our pivot matrix. There he's using a weighted basketball, but you can use your own basketball. If you have a medicine ball, if you have dumbbells, whatever you have to add load to it if you want. But again, use this period to become a better basketball player. Don't just do every push-up challenge you see across the internet. Don't just do, whatever XYZ workout. Use these fundamental movements, use the planes of motion, and then use the movement enhancements to tweak to get better at what you need to get better at, not just following a workout that you need. If you know you need to work, if you know you need to become better in a different plane of motion, working side to side, train that. If you know you need to work, you need to become faster, train for rate. If you know you need to work on your body control, add the isometrics, add the deceleration, add the eccentrics. And the last 2 things, one of my great friends, Brandy Walker, said, never let a great workout go to waste. What does she mean by that? The nutrition. So what are you putting in your body after you work out? During this time, we're in a time what we like to call low usage. What does that mean? You're not burning calories at the rate that you would normally burn them, right? So this is a time we would want to cut back on the carbohydrates that we're eating, pastas, breads, the rice. Want to cut back on those. We want to make sure we have a higher protein consumption. Protein doesn't always mean meat or fish or seafood or things along those lines. You can add protein to your diet just through a shake. You can add protein to your diet through peanut butter, things along those lines. But you always want to make sure you're taking in more protein and taking in less carbohydrates. And when you do take in your carbohydrates, save them for after you work out. Preferably 3 hours, a window of 3 hours after you work out. That's the best time to have carbs after you work out. 3 things I've been telling my guys to work on: eat less sugar, get more sleep, and less snacking. Right? A lot of times, guys will tell me, "Man, I'm up late, and what should I eat if I'm up late? Just go to sleep. Just go to sleep at that point. If it's 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, and you're thinking about food, just go to sleep. It's over. Just go to sleep. This is a great time to get back on the rest and sleep that you need. Just go to sleep at that point. And then obviously less sugar, right? You're not burning calories at the rate that you need. You don't have the high energy expenditure that you're used to having. So this is a great time to cut down on the sugar that you're taking in. Make sure you're hydrated. Stay on top of your water intake. And then one thing that I love is just add spice. Why spice? Spice is a great way to boost your metabolism. Your metabolism's naturally dropping right now just because you're not as active as you used to be. So a great way to help raise that is to add spice. And then lastly is just a couple of suggestions for the 3 meals. I'm a big egg guy. Egg casseroles are great. You can take 10 eggs, you can crack them into a bowl, whisk them up. You can add turkey, you can add spinach, you can add mushrooms, you can add cheese. You don't even have to cook. All you gotta do is put them in a pan, sheet pan, baking pan, throw it into the oven will do the work for you. Take it out the oven, you can cut it up however you want. You've got egg casserole. Smoothies and shakes, berries, protein powders. You can add spinach. Spinach has no taste. You can add nut butters, almond butter, cashew butter, peanut butter. All of those things will help add fat to your shake to give it some taste. Turkey chili, sloppy joes, fajitas with guacamole. You can add chicken, you can add shrimp, you can add steak. Those are 3 great options you have for lunch. Again, high protein, not as many carbohydrates. And then lastly, again, I have 4 packs of ground turkey in my freezer right now. But turkey burger, again, adding spice. So I'll buy jerk spice. I'll add it to the turkey burger. That's a great way to, again, you have high protein, and we're talking about adding spice. So boosting my metabolism and cutting down on my carbohydrate intake and raising my protein intake. And then lastly, stir fry. You can add steak, you can add chicken, you can add shrimp, vegetables, whatever protein you like. Mix them all together and then go for it. Again, 2 options for dinner, 2 options for lunch, 2 options for breakfast, all within the guidelines that we're talking about. Again, that reference that I talked about earlier, Train for the Game, follow them on Instagram. Great resource to have for basketball players. A lot of great basketball players have come through Texas. It's Kevin Durant, namely, is the one, Tom Wright, who came to fame after his work that he did with Kevin Durant. A lot of people laugh because KD couldn't, bench press 185 in the combine, but he can give you 30 in a heartbeat. So he kind of changed the way that basketball players train. So again, kudos to Todd. Appreciate you, Todd. And then Train for the Game down there in Austin, Texas. That's all I got. I just water.
Hey, man, so first of all, go ahead and get you some water. That's a whole lot that you went through. Whole lot of good information.
That was some good stuff, dog.
Yeah,
that was a lot of stuff.
Appreciate it.
It's up to them now. They just gotta be dedicated on them. So don't say it ain't out there. The information ain't out there.
Hey, it's there for you. It's there for you.
That man just gave y'all like a 21-minute presentation on how to get right during this. So you can't say people aren't helping like our next information.
We're about to call him like, you giving out too much. You giving out too much.
Who wanted to start with the questions?
I got a question. You know, we opened the show asking about The Last Dance. So with these next 2 episodes, it's going to kind of dig into that the feud with the Bad Boys, and most assuredly they're going to introduce, you know, Tim Grover and his impact on Mike and Scotty and the rest of the guys. So with that, do you feel like the strength and conditioning portion isn't really regarded as importantly as it should be? Like, I mean, everybody knows you got to be strong and have a strong body to be in shape. But, you know, do you feel like that portion should be equally as important as the on-court stuff?
Equally as important? No. But again, because at the end of the day, it is about basketball.
Right.
But it is a huge part of developing as a player. It is definitely a huge part. If I would say like a 70%, 30%, 30% split, at least, if not more. I know, especially for me, I'm super gung-ho on it. So at Go games, I sit behind the bench. I'm watching players. I watch how they move. So, again, understanding the needs of a basketball player, that helps shape my training philosophy. So I'm not just writing numbers on the board. You know, we're going to deadlift, we're going to bench, we're going to do, you know, see how many push-ups you can do in a day. The way we train, you know, as we lifted out those fundamental movements, those are the things that guys need to understand how to do. And if you can do that in the weight room, when you get to the court, now it becomes easier as you're developing, right? And then one of the things that I found out this year is the more I explain to guys, okay, this is a squat, this is a jump, this is a pivot, this is a reach, these are the 3 planes of motion. Now they come back to me and they can give me feedback. So it's like, hey, you know, like I feel like, you know, when I try to go left, you know, I'm having trouble. You know, if I have to lunge to the left, or, you know, if I have to squat in certain positions, you know, I really feel like I can't sit down. So now it becomes a dialogue. Now I can really help, you know, as far as enhancing your game. So I would say it is a huge part, especially the way that we train. It definitely is a huge part, because now everything that we do becomes applicable back to basketball. It's not like the weight room's over here and then the court's over here. We try to merge the two, especially with the way that we train. So yeah, it's definitely a huge part.
Vincent, talk to us about the time when y'all all found out about league shutting down, and due to the coronavirus, obviously, and adjustments made from, you know, you guys, the staff, the training staff, personally and professionally, as far as basketball is concerned.
Yeah, it was an interesting night. We were, I believe they canceled the season on a Wednesday. Yeah, they canceled on a Wednesday. The next day, we had practice Wednesday. I just want to add this in. I'm still mad. Like I'm still hoping they start the season back up, because we were tied with the Sixers G League team. We're a half game out of the playoffs. We had 7 games left. We had just signed Jordan Bell, so we were ready to make a playoff run. But outside of that, we had just finished practice, and they had let us know that, you know, at the time, Golden State had just shut down, or the city of San Francisco had shut down home games for Golden State. So we knew things were progressing at a rapid pace. I was packing my bags that Wednesday night. We were getting ready to go down to Texas. We had a back-to-back on Friday and Saturday, so we were getting ready to leave. And then I was watching ESPN just like everybody else when word came down from the league that things were canceled. So, you know, we were like, okay, are we still going? Because, you know, we're definitely affiliated with the league. So it was kind of a little gray area right there. But by the time we went to bed, we definitely knew that we weren't flying out the next day. And they had told everybody just to kind of stay home. And then after that, when things really started to get progressively worse over Thursday and Friday, that's when we kind of went into, okay, we need to stay ready. That's when I started preparing documents for our players and checking in and making sure that they stayed ready. And then the things got progressively worse when we kind of went to from you know, we're going to be back next week to, okay, we need to be ready whenever, right? So the main thing as a strength coach, a lot of times that I realized through this, as a strength coach, you're always preparing for what's next. So, okay, we're in season. Okay, we got 3 games next week. okay, we're in the off season. Okay, it's preseason, so like you're always preparing for something. But with this period right now, with suspension, waiting to come down from the league, you're kind of in a period of we just need to stay ready. We don't know exactly what we're preparing for, but we just need to stay ready. So that's kind of where we're at with it right now. Guys have been great. We've been doing FaceTime calls with guys that have been doing group workouts, group ball handling, things along those lines. So it's just in a mode of stay ready right now, and then waiting for the next step.
All right. The follow up with Cardell. I guess what your job is. So it's a face to face.
Yeah.
Type job. As you said, you're giving them information, they're receiving it, doing it, being able to give you the information back to help get them right. Obviously, technology's been able to help people so much. Like I know talking like the folks at DC United, things for them is like having team Zoom calls and the fitness. For you guys, the strength and conditioning guys, the technical trainers, what have you. Even with the technology, I guess, how challenging is it knowing like you're legit going from face to face to that being the sole means of an interaction now?
Yeah. I hate it because I'm a hands-on guy. Like I like to get in and show guys and help guide them into the action and the movements that I want them to get to. So being able to watch on camera, it's like, okay, you're giving them an exercise, you're watching them do it. It's okay. Yeah, it's like, drop your knee down a little bit, and then, their Wi-Fi goes out, and they complete 3-4 reps, and you're like, and then it freezes, and then they tell you like, all right, what's next? And the camera's still frozen. It was like, okay, let's go to the next thing. So being very detail oriented, hasn't been the best, but we're making it work. We're making it work. So, I think now the thing is, going back to what we talked about earlier, is just focusing on a lot of body weight stuff, and you really have to be on top of your coaching as far as what positions you want guys to get. What positions you want guys to get in, and what you want them to have them feel, and what you're looking for out of particular exercises. So, like my coaching has gone to a whole nother level just because of the descriptive nature that I have to give to guys now. I can't just say, do this, or I can just show them. Now it has to be, okay, right foot here, you should feel this here. Now you're going to reach here. Adding all those things in those layers. It's helping me become a better coach. So that's all the way you can look at right now. Just find the positive in everything.
Xavier, Ray, you guys got anything or?
Why you just took mine, but it's cool. So I was like, because I felt like that's probably like the biggest challenge that I was going to ask. Like, it's got to be challenging to be able to connect with them, especially when you do something like you said that's so hands-on. Like, I just figured that that's probably the most challenging part. Would you say that it's the most challenging part?
By far, yeah, by far. I haven't been doing this long. It's 2020. I've been doing this about 6 years, and I've never trained a guy over FaceTime for 6 years until this period. Like, it's either been we're training together, or I'm coming to see you and I'm working with you. Even with guys like off season and things like that, like I'm going to see guys and like in the facility that they're in. So like even then, like when there is separation, I'm still, going to see them and working face to face. So now 6 years later, it's like, okay, doing something you've never done before. It's like, yeah, this is by far the challenge. Like I can program all day. I know exactly what I want them to do. I know exactly the things that we're trying to focus on. But that one-on-one, that face-to-face time is the one thing that's missing, one thing that's so huge as far as the coaching. So, yeah, by far and away, that's the most challenging thing.
Yeah, Vincent, do you see the season being salvaged at all?
It's going to be tough. The thing, especially coming from medical performance standpoint of view, is that whenever things start to subside, you still have to look out a month after that because we got to get guys ready again. They've gone from not everybody has a court in their backyard. And even if they do have a court in their backyard, they're not playing 5-on-5. They're not getting up and down. not playing with contact. It takes time to acclimate to those things. So, say, okay, even if they said, today is April 21st, even if they said, things will be ready, to go again May 21st. So, okay, well, we're not going to be playing until at least June 21st because they haven't played in almost 6 weeks now. Like, they've done absolutely nothing except push-ups, squat to lunge, and, single leg balance work, and ball handling. So it's going to take time to build them back up, to get them to what we want. So that's my only thing. I can't see it, just in my own point of view. But always holding out hope. NBA is, they've done some things in the past that people didn't see coming. So they could be working on something we had no clue. So, but whatever it is, it's still, even when things get back to normal, when things subside, it's still like at least another 3 weeks to a month out.
Yeah, I'm happy that you brought that up because one of the questions I was going to ask was just talking about, obviously, no matter the sport, you're going to want these guys to have some type of training camp to get back. The last thing you want to do is with this much off time. And, like you said, you can only do so much in this current situation we're in, regardless of whatever your home setup may be. The last thing you want is for somebody to come out and blow a tire. And then that puts you to a whole, depending on your organization, the player that it is, that puts you in a whole different, that puts you in a place you just don't want to be in. So I'm glad you brought that up because, a lot of people, and obviously it's wonderful to be optimistic, but just being realistic, like that's a part of it. Mm-hmm. These are people's bodies. You can't just throw them back in. It's not a video game. You can't just throw them back into it and let them go.
And the thing that to add a plug for all NBA G League strength coaches, we kind of specialize in it because when we get guys, sometimes, if a guy gets cut, if they sign somebody, we're getting the guy off the street. Sometimes, guys been sitting at home. He might have been overseas situation didn't work out. He's sitting on the couch for 2 weeks. He gets here, he gets a flight, he gets a jersey, and they throw him out there and play. I've been in that situation, many a time, and you're almost to a point like you're scared to watch him get up and down. It's like every time he makes a movement, anything sudden, you're just praying the whole practice. So that kind of blowing tires, that's always on the back of your mind. Especially in the G League, because sometimes you get guys off the couch or from whatever they're doing. So having a chart to plan for them is okay. Having conversations with the coach is like, okay, I know we got XYZ guy down. I know we need minutes at the center. I know you want to play him 30 minutes, but if we can beat 20, we can go small and. Buy 5 minutes here, we can buy time because these guys need time to get acclimated. That's when a lot of injuries happen. A lot of times is that you introduce them to a load and it's a load that they're not ready for. They haven't had time to build up back to that. A lot of times, from a chronic standpoint, there are times, you get acute injuries, but a lot of times, a lot of chronic stuff is just a load. Guys aren't acclimated to a load that they're supposed to be acclimated to. So I'm definitely, I know, I've already seen reports that a lot of medical staff's on top of it, like, hey, NBA, we're going to need, at least 2 weeks. We got to give us at least 2 weeks. I know it's going to be a short window, but, 4 weeks is optimal. But, they're literally doing nothing. This isn't like a lockout, where guys can go play, and have games and things on all the stations. Guys are doing absolutely nothing.
Right. No, that was something else I was going to ask you about the player fluidity and the movement in the G League. Your concerns with just getting a guy, like you said, potentially off the street or maybe coming from another organization. What has there ever been a chance where you kind of got a guy and his body wasn't really where it needed to be for optimum performance?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's one of those things where. You have to do your evaluation when you get them, and because I used to work in the college setting as well. So the college setting, you have a guy, you're gonna have him, exactly what you're gonna do day in, day out. Coming up to the pro level, being in the G League, when you get a guy, you have to realize that the goal is basketball. So you know, and a lot of times if you're getting a guy in that situation, it's because you need him, and it's because you need him to play. You know, that's just the nature of the beast. So sometimes I have to take a step back. It's like, you know, like I might think I might have this great, you know, lift planned out, but he might not make it from practice and the lift. You know, like practice he might be able to do, and then the next week, okay, he's able to practice. Okay, now let's try a little bit more. Okay, he's tolerating that well. Okay, the following week, now we got a little bit more in the weight room because he's still tolerating. He's still accepting load the right way. You know, are you sore? Like, I know you're gonna be sore, you know, obviously, but it's like, what can you tolerate from week to week? You know, just kind of charting and planning it that way, kind of baby stepping, as opposed to you know having your pride and saying, all right, you know, we're gonna deadlift, we're gonna do this, you know, we're gonna grab the Viper, we're gonna do all these matrices, and then the guy's burnt out. You know, you need him to play 20 minutes, and then you know, coach looks at me like, yo, like, what are you doing with the guy? Like, he can hardly move. You know, his body's in shock. You know? So those situations come up all the time. You know, every G League strength coach, every G League athletic trainer has dealt with it. You know, so there's definitely a plan for it. You just have to be in constant communication with the guy and just kind of put your pride to the side for a second and realize, you know, just put him, the player, at the forefront and do what's in their best interest.
What's the plan for the pre-draft process? Because I know, you know, obviously during pre-draft you have to work guys out. You got to get medicals and all that. And with this situation, you won't be able to do either. And that will impact a lot of draft picks. So, yeah, I can see your face.
Scouts about to earn their money. Scouts about to earn their money. If you a scout, man, this is your time. Like, medical performance team, our time is doing this coaching, pre-draft, the scout, you gotta be on it, buddy, because we're not gonna have time to put hands on guys. Like it's just the nature of the beast. And then they haven't come out and officially canceled, you know, pre-draft and all of those things. But you look at the calendar and you look at the way things are going. And if you a scout, you say, yeah, this guy stays in tip-top shape. Okay. This is time.
You fired.
Scouts, this is your time to shine. But on a serious note, like when you get guys back into the fold, you know, that'll be the time, like we said, you know, realizing, you know, hey, like even if, you know, you have the draft and you get a guy in, it'll still be that gradual process, you know, working them back up, you know, because they're just like every other player on your roster. You know, and you're gonna have even more care with the draft picks because you know you haven't had them. So it's still gonna be, you know, that gradual process of working them up. You know, scouts, it's your time to shine, buddy. That's for sure.
You guys had any more questions? Cardell, you have one?
Yeah, I got a fun question, Vince. I want to ask you. Okay, so it's this thing these days where they say players from yesteryear come play. And I'll come play today because they weren't and the condition is and all the advancements that they had, the current regimen training and all the advancements to players from yesteryear, and they do it today. How would those players compare to today's athlete?
I'll say this. I can't remember the exact quote, but a lot of I think I remember it now. I think the quote is, "What is the least amount of information you need to do your job?" Right? If you look at a player from the 80s, the 90s, and you look at the players of today, if a guy can dribble past and shoot in the 80s and 90s, and do so at a high clip with high efficiency, why would you not think he can do the same thing today? Simple as that. Don't overcomplicate it with, you know, the force plates and, you know, all of those other things. Don't overcomplicate. Just look at the game. If he's dominating in the 80s and 90s in a way more physical league, you know, you can't even hand check guys now, right? So we talk about relative core strength. You had to have some serious relative core strength to play back in the 80s and 90s. Because if you're trying to drive past the guy, think about it. Let's think about it. If I'm trying to drive past a guy, and the guy can take his hand and physically put his hand on my hip and try to force me in another direction, that's an advantage. And I have to be able to fight that off. So now I have to create greater demand with my hips. I have to have greater control of my body. Like, yeah, I was with that one alone.
Look, man, I love that you point. I love how you brought that up because I'm gonna steal it and use it. So thank you in advance. I love that. He was like, "How well can you do your job with the least amount of information you need to do it?" Like you said, you were getting beat up, clothesline, abused, right? And you weren't able, like, it's not like you had this type of information or technology to maintain your body for the rigors of those times. Now you take away, we know how the league now with the freedom of movement and everything else, it's not that hard. People, like you said, people are thinking way too much. But again, that answer is going to be cited quite a few times in the future here. So I'm just going to give you
I'm keeping that clip on my phone.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to respond to people. Like,
I'm just going to put it.
So he said, but look, guys.
Truth, man.
And he's qualified to say. And
go ahead, Cardo.
Check my credentials.
Just one more. How's John Wall progressing?
Say that one more time.
How's John Wall progressing?
Oh, he's doing great.
I know the people want to know
that. Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing great, man. Looking forward to seeing his return to the court. He's doing great.
All right, what we want to do real quick is Vincent, as always, you don't have to leave. You're welcome. Let's do like a couple rapid fire questions, right? We want to thank you so much for information. Oh, so much information tonight was shared. So thank you, Cardell, for making it happen. For those of you that are watching, whether it's live,
he's where he's at.
Exactly.
That's why he's where he's at.
Like broke that all the way down. So many good details.
Stop listening to quarantine on trainers.
Oh man!
Now we got quarantine trainers too.
I tell you know how it is.
Yeah.
There's every type of trainers. There'll be Wednesday trainers, Thursday trainers, rainy day trainers. But we're gonna take a quick break. We got Vincent Williams here, head straight the conditioning coach for the Capital City. Go! You're watching the Focus TV. All right, welcome back to the Focus TV. Again, many thanks to Vincent Williams. Man gave us like a 22-minute dissertation of some quality information for you guys while we're all stuck in the house. That being said, Cardell, the floor is yours. We do a couple rapid fire questions, as is the tradition here on Focus TV.
All right, we're going to take it out to the West Coast and the NBA. Draymond Green is in the news for saying that Kevin Durant for last season, whether or not what should have happened was Kevin come out and say, "Hey man, this is it. Like, so let's do this," or "This isn't it." But you leave the elephant in the room, so to speak. He was frustrated every day. They had questions, and he would have rather that Kevin just say, "Yo, this is it. I'm out," and that way they can go on about their business. Everybody know they can just focus on basketball. What are your thoughts on Draymond's point in that situation?
I guess I'll break the ice with this one. He doesn't have a point. Kevin Durant doesn't owe him anything, any type of explanation about what he's going to do in free agency. Like that's completely irrelevant. Focus on the task at hand, get the job done, and don't worry about another man's free will and decisions that he's going to make in the summertime. Like, why are you thinking about the summertime during the season, and why are you allowing that to pollute the team chemistry or whatever y'all got going on? I think it was childish. It was unnecessary. And it was just typical Draymond stuff. Like, and then in that same interview, he goes on to let Maverick, just blatantly disrespect Steph Curry. Like Like, what is this guy's angle? Like, I know they got a connection to a certain player that should go unnamed, and this is just basically that guy letting his buddies try to trash other people. But whatever, man. Like I said, it's irrelevant. It was the last year of his contract. Only thing he was responsible for was fulfilling what he signed on the dotted line for. Like, nobody should have to tell you what they plan to do next in order for you to go out and do your job as a basketball player.
For me, I feel the same way. Like, I feel like he shouldn't have had to tell him. But I think that Draymond was expecting it because I think he was thinking, like, how close him and the other ones are, like Steph and Clay and all of them. So I feel like they've had those conversations probably before. So I feel like he thought he was entitled to know, which in all actuality, he's not. So I don't think either one of them are really wrong. I just think Draymond's in his feelings that he didn't know, and it is what it is. And I just think Kevin decided not to tell anybody. I mean, that's both of their prerogatives to feel the way that they feel. But I just hate when people start, like, hashing out stuff like this in the media. Like, nobody asked for this. I don't know why this is happening. Like, if it happened over a year ago, like, I feel like we should just leave it alone at this point. But I digress.
I guess I'll go. I could kind of get what Draymond's saying, but at the same time, like, at the core of it, it's just none of your business. Secondly, just to be honest, like, let's say he did say, "Hey, I'm staying." You may have been made expendable. So that's a whole different can of worms we're talking about here. If he did say, I'm staying, and he's locked in, like, not to knock him or whatever, but if I got 3 people I got to pay a lot of money to, of the 4 of you, it's not hard to figure out who's on the outside looking in here. But that said, like, I just think it's Dre being Dre. I was more bothered by the Steph thing, letting Mav say what he said about Steph, and just letting that rock, like, sipping your wine and go about that. I was more bothered by that because, like, that's who you were there with the whole time. Also, like, you hired KD as a mercenary. It is what it is. It's 3 years, right? 3 years. Let's call it what it is. Nothing was agreed on past that. Or technically, it was 1-1. So, it is what it is. You did what happened, and that's that. And I look forward to, if and when the NBA resumes. A lot of people been talking real wild. Just looking forward to it. That's all I got to say. I have nothing else past that.
Like, want to elaborate, Wilson? Best, or you want to pull the company card, be like, I ain't got nothing for this.
Company card, man. Company card.
I got you.
I ain't even mad at
I
you.
agree. We need to.
He asked in regards to the Last Dance. It wasn't like he just came out. Maverick asked him in regards to the Last Dance as far as the situation with Scottie Pippen, Jordan, what he said on it, talking about you selfish. That's why I'm not going to go at Draymond, because it's not like he just came out and just banned it or something like that. But at the end of the day, man, maybe Kevin didn't know. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? What if he was indecisive at that time? He don't know. He waiting to see what the season play out, and then I'll make my decision. So to even say that, and what if he did say he gave you the honest truth, like, yeah, I'm out this year, so we can make it work? That could have killed the team morale right there, because they like, well, this dude not really with us. Now you got this group over here, and you got KD on the side, and that's still bad chemistry. So the best option was just like, let's just play this out and leave that alone.
Exactly.
So how can you get mad at that? To me, KD was in an over-win situation anyway. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, I'm not going to kill him too much. I'm not going to get on him and look at him a certain way because he was asked that question. It's not like he just came right out, and it was in relation to what we saw in the Last Dance. That's what they were talking about. So I give him the benefit of the doubt with that. But at the end of the day, man, that's a tricky thing, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of just you got to let a guy deal with his future and his livelihood and stuff on his terms. And when he's ready, you will know. And y'all eventually found out. It's as simple as that. And thinking back on what y'all said about him saying, not defending Steph, when you said, Maverick said that Steph can't even guard me now. I agree, because Draymond was just getting on Jordan and talking about why didn't Jordan stand up for Pippen? You know what I'm saying? Talking about he's selfish, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like if you gonna call another man out, why don't you just do it right here live?
Look,
you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just. I mean, look, man, it's just crazy.
Hey,
but
Cardell.
you know how that go.
Hey, Cardell.
We gonna end it with another one, huh?
I was gonna say the Baba Yaga's coming, dog. It comes. It's gonna happen. The Baba Yaga's coming. Gonna be healthy at some point, bro. I remember what it looked like when he wasn't on your team. So.
Oh man,
it's dark outside.
We gonna leave it with this. John Lynch, the 49ers GM, said trading DeForest Buckner was the toughest thing he has done as a GM. He said, I've been a general manager here for X amount of years. It's a difficult part of the business. One that I don't think you can really prepare yourself when you move on from a play for body. It's everything that you want to be about. We spend a lot of time talking about what's a 49er to us, and DeForest embodied that every way, both on and off the field. They received the number 13 pick for Buckner. He signed a 4-year, $84 million contract with the Colts. And San Fran re-signed defenseman Eric Armstead, Arnold Blair third, free safety Jimmy Ward, and offensive lineman Ben Garland with the cap savings. Just what are your thoughts on John Lynch and his take on losing Buckner?
I don't think I should answer this question.
You're looking at you, 49.
Oh, I gotta talk. I mean, yeah, like Buck was the first piece of kind of turning everything around, right? Obviously, it hurts, but you know, this is one of the things we talk about a lot, like with front offices. It's very hard for some front offices. You get so attached, and you can't step back and take a bird's eye view of everything. And there was no way possible your team was going to stay in contention or whatever, right? Whatever the window may be, say they feel the window's open, paying 2 defensive linemen $21 million a year. That is not sustainable, while also paying a quarterback. It is not possible. That is literally how you throw a roster in the trash and you lose everything. Yes, I miss Defoe. I did not think it was going to be him. I thought it would be Eric. That said, if you look down, I know a lot of people don't like doing this because, you know, it messes up narratives and things like that. But if you break down the money, they ended up signing Eric for 1 year more and like $12 million less. And do I think DeForest is a better player than Eric right now? I do. Do I think DeForest is a more versatile piece than Eric? I do not. So you did what you had to do. And, I mean, we get to see because, like, you got this draft class. You're going to see where this goes. But, again, we see all the time. It's very hard to keep things together when people perform at a high level on several levels of the defense. You can't ever keep the whole thing together. Like smart teams, you find the guys you can't replace, the guys you can't live without, and you build around them. Some places are revolving doors. What I do know is you got to pay Magabosa in a couple years. It's going to hurt. Love DeForest. You're going to have to pay Maga, like, that's going to hurt. Mike McGlinchey, you're going to have to pay him. Fred Warner's acting like an all-pro. That's going to hurt too. Decisions are going to have to be made, man. So, I mean, does it stink? Yeah, but I think, you know, it was a tough decision and it had to be done. Like you were going to lose something.
Like your scouting department on that game.
And that's the other thing. If you're confident in your scouts, right? If you think about it, Love Defoe, the defensive line, most of the guys were first picks. Some of the all-pros on that team were 5th round picks, 3rd round picks, 2nd round picks. Those are guys you don't have to pay early on because you didn't take them in that 1st round slot. So you're going to have to pay George Kittle. However you view George Kittle as tight ends in the league, for the 49ers, that's wide receiver 1. Be completely honest. That's wide receiver 1. If you look at the Chiefs, Travis Kelce is their wide receiver 1, and you got the speed guys all around it. You go with what works for your team. For other teams, some people got a DeAndre Hopkins. The 49ers do not have a DeAndre Hopkins. They're not going to end up with a DeAndre Hopkins. And no one's going to be paid like DeAndre Hopkins, whose name isn't George Kittle. These are facts. Some teams don't pay fullbacks. Juice about to get paid again. They laughed when they paid Juice like $30 million a couple years ago. Will nobody give fullbacks that much money? It's a weapon. It depends on how you use things. Like Cardell, you talk about scouting all the time. If you're comfortable with how you scout and how you can bring people in and coach them up, you're not worried about those types of things. You're not. Like, yes, you're going to lose. DeForest is going to hurt. So I'm going to give you a name real quick, because, most people don't care about things like DJ Jones, ready to go. He got hurt last year and they missed him for the stretch run. Not a big name, but the Packers could tell you who DJ Jones is. First time they played, he ate. I don't even know who their center and guard was. He ate 5 straight plays. It was easy money. But DJ Jones doesn't cost what DeForest Buckner costs. That's what it is. Like, it's just that simple. Would you rather have a whole defense and miss 1 starter, or 2 guys and wish you had another 9? That's simple for me.
Summed it up. Anyone else?
I agree. I can't even say nothing.
So,
what can you? That's like going on stage after Eddie Murphy, man. Like,
What do you say now?
I don't know.
I can't even be petty.
Like, you said you can't be petty.
For now.
Yeah, give it
I
time.
can't even be petty with this.
Thursday starts soon, but yeah, man, like we watch.
I mean, it does.
We watch so many teams like that. Matter of fact, look at the Rams or the Jags. You remember the Jags thought they were a quarterback away? Somebody made one bad decision about not paying the wrong person. Look at the Jags. Yannick is literally on Twitter right now. Like, please let me out.
Wilson. Look at my.
I'm sorry.
Look at my team.
I'm
No
sorry.
problem. Wow.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm living it. Man.
Yeah.
I'm living it.
Like you like literally, you went from a secondary with a Chris Harris and a Key Talib, Bradley Rowe, like fun things, right?
Chain slasher, literally slashing chains on the field. And he let that go. and now the Chiefs putting up 50 at halftime on us. Come on, man.
I'm saying though, and matter of fact, look at the Chiefs, right? Look, some defensive positions matter. I'm gonna pay Honey Badger. Every other one of you dudes around him and Chris Jones, it'll be fine. We'll rotate you guys.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine. Honey Badger, he can play all y'all positions. We got that. Chris Jones, he'll make life easier for all you rookies. Life's gonna be fine. But what we can't afford to lose, we can't lose every track star on offense. We can't lose the curly haired kid with the big arm. Life's gonna be fine. If we put up 50, I'm asking y'all to stop somebody like 3 times a game. Maybe. I mean, it's that simple. But I guess if that's the end of everything, Vince, I want to thank you again so much for coming through tonight.
Appreciate y'all, man.
And again, so much great information, man. Get you some rest. I know you're tired. Like, I'm tired to talk. Actually, you gave me a break this week. Like, usually I'm tired.
Full life at 10 o'clock, man. I got to put something in the tank.
Man.
Right.
Look, you saved me this much water.
You might be about to call. I'm like, man, need some work, dog.
But I want to thank everybody for tuning in, man. Obviously, like we told you guys, Last Dance Symposiums every Sundays after the second premiere of the new episodes. So join Cardell, Raymond, and I there. And also, we got some stuff up our sleeve for you guys coming on Tuesdays, man. Some fun stuff. We like to be informative here. Want to take a look back because people have an inability to do that. To look back and appreciate things that came before, like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever that just happened today. Stop it. We've seen this before. Like, it's okay. It was cool, but we've seen this before. But thank you guys for tuning into the Focus TV, and appreciate your support. See you guys next week.
Yeah.